Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on the film.
Thank
you. It's been a busy time for you the last year.
Yeah, been busy.
No
but
complaints.
Good busy.
Good busy.
Yeah.
And this film, getting to act with Pierce Brosnan, tackling a real subject matter. And you've worked on a lot of different types of projects. What's the difference for you, or the apprehension, or the challenge bringing something that's real to life?
Well, you want to make it, of course, as authentic as you can, and hope that the people who are involved in it, who were there, find it all credible. So for me, it was I got lucky with Bernadette's character because they used a little bit of artistic license, changed her name, and changed the circumstances a little bit. But in real life, the woman who I played, Jessie, did end up moving in and taking care of the children as if she was their own mother, but never managed actually to marry because he wasn't legally divorced, and in Catholic Ireland you can't do that.
Right. Or maybe you could. Maybe you could challenge the system like we did here.
Well, yeah, you never know. But so for me, it was mostly just talking to the real Evelyn and saying, "Do you think it's okay that in the script they took these liberties?" And she said, "Oh yeah, because the other story wasn't as interesting." So we got to have a little play with it more so than the Desmond character or the Evelyn character.
Right, and then having the real Evelyn around on the set and around to basically supervise what's going on, that has to be a little bit strange too, having someone who actually lived through this.
Well, it was more fun than strange, right, because she's such a firecracker, and you know, the Irish, they know how to have a good time.
Right. What do you mean?
So usually our evenings were spent out at these elaborate meals,
right,
and once Evelyn had a few drinks, the real nitty-gritty would come out, and we just had a ball with her.
It was
a lot of fun.
You're just doing
and
research.
All her brothers came. Yeah, it was all research. So it was actually a lot of fun.
And with you went to high school in New Hampshire, but you kind of grew up traveling abroad quite a bit. The accent, since you spent time over in Europe, was it much of a problem for you to grab it?
I think it probably made it easier for me, just because as a kid I had an English accent until I was probably 13, and worked on having an American accent, and also when you're going to school in England, I mean, you're around so many different dialects all the time. You're around Irish, Scottish, you know, East End, proper English, all that became, we used to imitate everybody anyway, so it was more natural for me. They did give me a dialect coach though, and I got to work with some.
Yeah, because it's a little bit tough to distinguish the accents now because there's been so many of them put out there.
Well, yeah, there's I mean, in Dublin, one of the things that we tried to concentrate on was the fact that in 1953 Dublin, the accents were actually stronger than they are now. Because of MTV and VH1, it's all sort of becoming a little bit gentrified. Everyone sounds almost American.
And working with the child actors, you had some experience in Ghost Ship, and then now with Evelyn, working with Sophie. Her performance is absolutely amazing. Just talk about working with her.
I wish I could talk about working with her. Unfortunately, my character never actually is in a scene with her, except in the courtroom where I'm looking at her, or at the very end when I'm serving her Christmas dinner. So as a kid on the set, she was a lot of fun, and she was a sweetheart, and I thought incredibly brave. She had never done a film before.
Well, then the finished product, looking at her performance, was amazing.
Oh, I'm just so glad they went with someone as authentic as she is, and not, you know, it's not going to sound awful, but she's the real deal. She's a real little Irish girl, and she seemed to really embody the character beautifully. I thought Evelyn, the real Evelyn, was very happy with the casting. They look alike if you put them together.
Right. I looked at the picture. Yeah. Also, Pierce looks a lot like...
Pierce, it really looks... I mean, when I got the job, I didn't know at all. I hadn't seen any of the newspaper clippings from the original story, and when I went for my first costume fitting, there were all these original pictures put up, and I thought it was Pierce. And I said, "Oh, that was great the way you antiqued that. I thought it was for a set or something."
Or
and it was really the real Desmond
Park or something where you get the old-time photos.
Right.
Now, seeing Pierce as vulnerable, because everyone's known the world over, I know we're going to say this, but as 007, the suave, the cool guy, we're going to get to see him in a totally different light, and he puts in an amazing performance. Just talk about seeing Pierce so vulnerable.
I've seen the last Bond one that he just did, and it was great, but I hadn't seen any of them before that. So I only knew Pierce from Taylor of Panama, and from, what was the other one? It was a John Borman movie, and from the Thomas Crown Affair.
Right.
And so for me, it felt very natural. I mean, even though those were suave characters, that it felt like the right role for him. It seemed like the logical step to go from the John Borman film, Taylor of Panama, into this. I mean, it's his home It's where he's from, and it's very close to his heart, this story from his own childhood. So I think people will be really pleasantly surprised to see his vulnerability in this.
Pleasantly surprised. I think everybody, even the strongest of men, are probably be fighting it back watching this one.
I think so, right?
God, I want to be a wreck.
It's a tearjerker.
It was amazing. Good
Oh,
stuff.
I'm glad you liked it.
This holiday season,
You're trying to make legal history.
one man will risk everything
The great day has finally arrived. The day the whole of Ireland has been waiting for.
to bring his children home.
May God grant you justice.
Silence in court! Silence!
Pierce Brosnan, Aidan Quinn, Julliana Margulies, Stephen Ray, Sophie Vavasseur, and Alan Bates.
What if it was your family? Wouldn't you fight to get them back?
Evelyn.